Welcome to all the people tuning in to the Impact Talk. And tonight we're obviously talking to the lone operator female instructors about the challenges of females and guns. And so we'll start at the beginning and then we'll chat through it towards where how you carry the gun at the end of the day. Okay. So the first question that I have to the ladies is that at some stage in your life, you realized, okay, I'm going to buy a firearm now. I'm looking to buy a firearm and I need to buy a firearm for whatever reason. And obviously you started the process of searching for a firearm. Whether you looked at somebody for advice or whether you went to a firearm store and then asked the guy behind the counter, doesn't matter. What was your experience in that matter, and how did you come to the point where you decided on you're going to buy what you are actually carrying? Thelma.
Who's going first?
Let's go with Thelma. It's fine.
Okay, so mine was actually very different from what I tell ladies to do at the moment. I started training first, and a friend of mine from training said that he could get a gun for cheap. And I went to have a look at it. I shot with it and I bought it. And that's the one I still carry today. So it's not the best of things to do. I would recommend that you go and actually shoot a few guns before you decide on one, but that was my story.
Why is it not the best of things? Is it? I mean, you're still carrying it today. Are you not happy with it? What are you carrying?
Smith & Wesson SD9. It just doesn't fit my hand that well. In the meantime, I did actually go over to Beretta, which is it suits my hand better. I shoot better. It just feels much more comfortable. So, and that came with experience. So after I shot a lot of guns and experienced how it feels from different people, then I knew, okay, this is the one I actually want. And that's the one that I want to wear and I want to carry every day. So, yes.
Okay. It's clear.
Okay, so yeah, my story was also a little bit on the different side of things. I didn't really realize I needed a firearm. So when I met my husband, he was big into shooting. And it was one of my birthday or Christmas presents, I can't remember which, about 10 years ago. And he bought me a Glock 26. So I took that to the range a few times, shot it, never really got into it, found it very intimidating. And to be honest, I think it was very much his world, which I didn't really want to get into at that point. I wanted my own space. He was very competitive and I wasn't interested in that. So I didn't really spend a lot of time shooting it, and therefore I didn't carry it a lot. Obviously over the years, crime's gotten so much worse. I started realizing then I needed to carry my gun and I needed to shoot my gun. So then I started training. And I joined Lone Operator 3, or I don't know, COVID times, 2020. And that's when I really, really started getting into shooting and getting more proficient at it. I quickly realized then that I wasn't that happy with my Glock 26. Nothing wrong with the firearm. It's an excellent little thing. It's really, really nice to carry, but it's, again, didn't fit my hand properly. I found that the recoil was quite hectic on it. And I don't know, ask anybody who used to shoot with me, I never really shot that well with it. So I then decided I needed to buy a backup gun. And what I did is I went through to a range that you could hire guns. So I decided I narrowed it down to 2 or 3 that I was interested in. And I went to, I think at that stage, I went to Waterfall Arms and I hired a Glock 19 because I thought, well, let's check it out, the new generation, and a CZ-P10C. And I think there was a Beretta as well. And I shot them all side by side. And I just found that the CZ-P10C, which is equivalent to the Glock 19 in size, was perfect for me. And I shot really well with that. So that's the gun I am now carrying. I'm a lot more confident with it. Yes, it's harder to conceal, but obviously we're going to get to that a bit later. You learn to work around what size gun you're carrying and you decide what's best for you. So that's my story.
Cool, Manette.
Yeah, so I've got a very different story. I started shooting with a friend. He had a bunch of rifles, or the R1 was actually the one that attracted me. So after that, I really enjoyed it, and I did my competency in all the guns that I could. Not that I was planning on buying a gun at that stage. Then old friends of mine said they had an old Astra 765 and I could have it if I just do the licensing. I said, great, let's do it. I got my Astra 765, very small little gun, really nice to shoot with, and she sat in my safe for 4 years. I think I shot with her once. And then I went with a bunch of friends. We went shooting with Cortac as a basic shoot. And we handled the Glock 19, which I really enjoyed, and I really shot well with the Glock 19 that day. And then a couple of months after that, I saw the lone operator ad, and I was lying in Bath, actually, going through my Facebook, and I thought, this looks good. No idea I'm going to afford this, but let's do it. And here I am. So I started off with my 765, and after my first range day, after the fundamental shoot, I realized, no, I'm going to need something else. So then I also went to Waterfall Arms with the Glock 19 because that's what I shot with Cortac, and I really enjoyed it. And a couple of months, no, not a couple, quite a few months later, I got my license. And yes, that's what I'm carrying now, my Glock 19.
Okay, so Waterfall Arms, if you're listening to this, that's 2 now. Eh? We're going to need some sponsorships there. I'm just saying it. Marty.
Yeah, so I grew up around weapons and guns. Our family always used to shoot on farm, long guns, basically your long guns, and grew up around a 38 Special, mom's gun, but really didn't shoot it, didn't know anything about pistols. And about 7 or 8 years ago, we are on a family business and we farm as well. We decided that the business robberies and the farm attacks were hitting a peak and that we needed to do something to protect us. So we as a family went and purchased our pistols. So I went for a Glock 43 at that stage, smallest gun for women's hands, the salesman used to say. So, but at that stage we started training a bit, doing basics. I realized that my Glock was a small caliber, or a small, it didn't have enough ammo. Yeah. So it had a six count magazine.
Capacity.
I had only capacity. Sorry, 6 round capacity. And when I started training, I did mag changes like nothing else. So at that stage, I extended my magazines just to try and cope with training. And then, I realized I needed a bigger capacity weapon. So during COVID, I purchased my SICK P320 compact. And then the long wait started for licensing to come through. So in 2021, me and my mom started Lone Operator just to up our game as well. And about 6 months in, my compact license came through. So I started training with my compact, and I carried it every day. So it's my favorite gun now.
And the salesman that advised you was, perhaps at Waterfall Arms.
No.
It would have been 3. Right? There's a sponsorship in there. I was just hoping. Right, so ladies, now you've bought your firearms and you've sort of settled into shooting. You've started doing some shooting with your husbands or with friends or with family, and obviously somewhere along the line you decided, okay, you're going to need some training. How did that process come about? And just give us a bit of a short history on your trade. You don't have to. It's not trying to get a CV, but how did the mind shift come about to say, okay, listen, I need to actually start to train actively and to start to, to go to the range on a regular basis and get some sort of formal training to get going. So let's kick off with Claire on this one.
Okay, so me, like I mentioned earlier, my husband's always been into training. I really didn't spend a lot of time on the range. I got my 26 when my oldest one was quite young, and I spent 90% of my time with her, running around after her. And then I started getting back into shooting, and then I fell pregnant and then had another little one. So really the thing that hit me was I used to get nightmares. So I'd have these nightmares, all these dreams even, that somebody was breaking in and I had to shoot back. And miraculously, my gun was always in reach, but I never used to carry it at the time. It was always in my safe. But in my dreams, it was always in reach. And I would pull it out and I would go bang, bang, and then I'd have a malfunction. Or I'd go bang and nothing would happen. And every single time, I would not be able to actually use my gun. And that actually led me to not want to carry it, believe it or not. And then obviously things just started getting worse and worse. I mean, we all know how rapidly things have gotten worse in this country. And I don't know, I think it was also during lockdown that I decided that, you know, if something happens now, I really am not proficient enough. Yes, I can fire a gun. Yes, I've been to the range, but no, I'm not feeling confident and strong enough to actually use my firearm. So that was when I took the step to start actually training. And actually a friend of mine sent me the Lone Operator. At the time it was advertised for ladies only, which I decided was amazing. And it's what drew me to going, that I could actually be on the range with a couple like-minded ladies. Since then, I've discovered that I prefer training with guys and ladies mixed, but at the time, it was a great inlet for me, and I joined up. And yeah, it's totally changed my universe. So I'm not trying to sell Lone Operator. It's absolutely, that was what hit me. And I think it's been a really good course, because I've been to quite a few that you just go and you do like a fundamentals. You go to 1 month and then you go home and they say train, and then you don't, because life carries on. So I found that signing up for something that was 12 months really pushed me, because we had to be on the range a month later and perform and actually show that we learned something. So for the people that don't actually have that much time and maybe are a little bit lazier in life, don't have that kind of sense of discipline to go and train on their own, Lone Operator was definitely my wow thing, you know, because it kept me coming and it kept me going back, and it held me accountable. I think nowadays the crime in the country should do that all on its own. You shouldn't have to join a course. You should be able to look around you and see what's going on and think, well, I need to know what to do. So yeah, I've done a few courses over the years with a few other instructors in the country, just fundamentals and basics. And yeah, I've pretty much been through Lone Operator, all the stuff we have to offer. So that's my training and my background. On top of that, my husband's
guys as well. You're welcome to mention other trainers as well.
Yeah, quite a few, but it's fine. I trained a lot more than anything with my husband. So he would take me, and he still does. He takes me to the range quite often, and he'll put me through my paces and teach me stuff. So I'd say 90% of the rest of my training would go towards him. And I'm lucky enough to have somebody like that in my life that's patient enough to train me. I know a lot of women don't like having their husband on the range. So, so yeah, that's my story.
Okay, Manette.
Well, yeah, like I said, I was lying in the bath, and my gun was in my safe for about 4 years. And I saw the Lone Operator ad, and I thought, you know, I want to try this. I didn't know I was going to afford it. And I arrived there the one day, I didn't know a soul. And yeah, it was intimidating, because there was a lot of, no, actually, we were a lot of girls. We were the girls group. We were the girls group, Claire, that eventually formed. But there was a lot of guys as well. Because I think Alpha and Bravo also arrived that day. So yeah, it was intimidating. But yeah, the training was really great. And like I said, after the first fundamental shoot of actually not knowing what you are doing, in my case, because like I said, I didn't really shoot a lot. I don't have anybody in my life that assists me. It really opened my eyes in terms of shot placement and why we shoot, where we shoot. And I was really tired after that day, I can remember. But since then, I mean, the modules are just built on top of each other to build the shooter, just to make them more proficient from module to module and for them to become better. So, Dion, does that answer your question? Sorry,
yes.
I'm gonna
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, no, 100%. Mart?
Yeah, so we did a self-defense training about twice a week for about 5 years. So we were on and off busy with that, and they offered basic shoots and stuff like vehicle courses and stuff. And so we would go shoot maybe once in 3-4 months. We get training, but I really never felt comfortable on a level that I didn't know if I would be able, if I was ever in a situation, if I would be able to fend it off, or I didn't have the confidence. So so after COVID, we decided to join a ladies group of lone operator, and just the consistency of training every month and showing up and just doing your best. It just put us on a whole nother level, on a whole nother mindset of training, and giving you the confidence to be able to fend anything off that comes your way as a woman. That's my story.
Mark, you're also going crazy because you're training with Mark Human as well.
Yeah, so we do knife fighting with Mark as well. So it's quite hectic.
Right. Don't tell Mark. I think he's a bad hookie, but don't tell him. I've got a gripe with him, but I'll fight him one day still. I first have to beat Brett Clark. Brett is my next. I've challenged him, but he's too scared. He's not coming to the party. So Mark, I'm going to put my sights on Mark. Thelma, I know you've been doing a lot of training even before you and me met long years ago. So
yes. Well, I started actually with Orno doing combatives training, and once a week, and so, and I just loved it. I was in my element. I really, really, really loved it. And then a few sessions in, I heard the guys talking about going to the range and shooting and doing courses and stuff. And then I was like, hey, what is this about? And then they took me the next time they went to the range, and that was it. I was hooked. The smell of gunpowder and challenging yourself and getting stuff right and messing other stuff up, and it was so exhilarating just to be on the range and being able to shoot. And the amount of stuff that we learn in a day is incredible, especially if you go for 2 days. You are done after 2 days, but it's the best 2 days that you can ever have. So my training actually started with combatives combined with shooting, and then that's pretty much my story, and I haven't stopped since. So that's it.
What you guys are explaining to me is actually an interesting picture, because Claire, we also know that you train with Jock Monkey, Mr. Monkey himself. Yep. Jock, I love you, boy. Now we'll know if he checks this. If he watches this, he will get to this point. Okay, then he will reply. If he hasn't watched this, then we'll know he's going to never reply. So
if you get an I love you, you know we're there.
So what you guys are explaining to me is something out of the norm. Okay, now let me explain myself. Out of the norm for females. This is hardcore stuff. You're talking about Arno Barlow from Combative Concepts. You're talking about Mark Human from Multidimensional Warriors. You're talking about Jock from Crazy Monkey. And then obviously you've all been involved in the training with Leo and so on and so forth. So it's, yes, ma'am.
I also trained with Ivana Rees of Storm Combat.
There, we've got another one, Ivana Rees, Storm Combat. Okay. So you're all training outside of the lone operator realm as well, but you're doing hardcore training, because I know Ivana as well. She's doing serious stuff. She's going full out, and I love what she's doing. I won't challenge her though. But Brett, I'm coming for you. I don't think Brett's not going to see this, so that's why I'm so cocky. But what you are saying is this is actually out of the norm for ladies. So my question is the following. Do you think ladies have a sort of a mind block in general now when it comes to this thing? I'm not talking about all the ladies that's already currently on lone operator, because what I'm trying to establish is if somebody from the outside looks at the course, lying in bath and looking at the course saying, well, this may be too tough for me. What is the thing that makes you go, well, I'm going to do this as a lady? What do you say? Anybody can go.
I think it's about the personality of the lady, and also about her experiences. Has she been in a situation where, let me just put this on, in a situation where she needed to defend herself, or almost in a situation where she knew that this is now life or death? I mean, that obviously will shift your mind into the reality of South Africa. On the other hand, you do get ladies that are, how do I say? Some of them are go-getters, and they like adrenaline, and they like new stuff, and they like experimenting, and they like learning. Other ladies are more on the side of caution. They would only do what is comfortable for them. And I think mainly that might be because that is what they are used to. For me, doing the first time I went, it was a thing about, hey, no, nobody of my family is doing this, so let me do it, you know. And as I say, I was hooked. I do know of ladies that are just too scared to take the leap. And for those ladies, you need to extend a hand of friendship and be real about it, but be soft about it. Because I do also know that if it's a new thing that you're trying to learn, it's difficult to learn it if you are so stressed and afraid to make a mistake. For those type of people to get into it, you do need a softer touch and a slower pace and a lot of encouragement. So I think it depends on the lady and her experiences.
Anyone want to fill in there? Yeah, just for the people, the viewers, Thelma's camera is giving us some issues, so she might go on and off all the time.
Thank you.
So for me, I was never into stuff like martial arts or anything like that. In more, yeah, basically a soft girl my whole life. But it took one moment of just saying, I'm going to do this. A moment of bravery. And I know it sounds a bit stupid now, but you know, when the first night I went for training, I sat in my chair in my car shaking because I was so scared of doing anything like this. You know, it's a industry filled with testosterone and ego, that I thought. And it was intimidating as a woman joining. But yeah, it just took that moment of bravery just to say, okay, let's get out of your comfort zone and let's try this. Maybe it works. Maybe you learn something.
True that.
Yeah, I think there definitely is a personality trait that comes through. I see it. There's a mindset, especially with girls that already are doing a sport like jiu-jitsu or a martial arts or any combative sports. They do already have something, and I don't know how to explain it, but there is something in there that they already know that they are worth defending. So that they are worth protecting themselves, if that makes sense. So I think, yes, there is something that some women possess, and it's easier for us. I always wanted to just be a badass. So even I had 3 older brothers growing up. They used to tickle me, throw me. I always used to want to know how to fight back. So for me, it kind of came naturally, you know. Going into the firearm industry, though, was a different step for me. As I mentioned, my husband used to shoot competitively, and it was very testosterone filled. Like there were no girls on the range. It just wasn't, you know, I knew that if I went to the range, I'd be one of maybe 3 at the time. And I'm talking about 15, 16 years ago. I think the firearm industry is slowly changing, and we are seeing a lot more female competitors worldwide. South Africa, definitely, it was never a thing. Now you can actually get shooting pants in shops, whereas when I started looking for them, they weren't even in the country. So yeah, I think the difference now, though, is it's becoming a reality that South Africans are facing. It's everywhere, and even the women that don't want to and the women that are scared are starting to have some niggling feelings that maybe they need to start learning how to protect themselves and their families. So I think we're going to see a shift in the long term here of ladies starting to take a step and starting to actually stand up. For me, the biggest thing was I was, my husband's my biggest bodyguard, and he is incredibly disciplined. That man has never got his firearm out of reach. He's got it on him. Even when he gets up to go to the toilet in the middle of the night, the gun goes with him. And one day I was like, well, who are they going to target when they come? They're going to take him out, because he's the one with the gun. And then what am I going to do? And that was my big moment. That was my, I've got two beautiful girls, and I've got to be able to stand up and protect them when he's not around. So for me, having kids made it a little bit easier as well.
Right. Nick, you've got something there?
Yeah, Dion, what stands out for me is exactly what I think it was Marty said. And there's some women that just have this warrior in them that wants to be the badass and that wants to try your hand at fighting, and that you just feel it. But what's important is that there is some women that don't feel it, and but what is more important, that all women should actually do it. Because our first reaction as a woman is to freeze when something comes at you, or and because I think fighting comes naturally for guys, and I'm specifically talking about hand-to-hand combat now. Fighting comes naturally for guys; it doesn't come naturally for women. So we need to be trained a little bit in it. So we need to go there and do it again for the muscle memory to get, so that hopefully that never that it happens, but the odd occasion that it might happen, that you actually have a natural instinct of how to put a palm on a face or on a nose or something. So I really think it's really important for women, every woman, not only the badasses, but the Cinderellas as well, to actually just go for a little bit of training, and even for little girls to go for a little bit of training. So from a small age, they can actually, you get all these anti-bully classes that they also know how to stand their man if anything had to happen. So yeah, that's from my side. That I would like to add.
Yes, I would like to see the industry, change much more. I think you for most probably all know it. For those who don't know, when I developed the loan operator course, I actually developed it for ladies. Thelma was there at the inception discussion. And then Roo hijacked it. So now we'll see if Roo watches the video. But the idea in the beginning was to empower women, which we obviously are doing. But I would love to still see more ladies on the course. We've obviously got this one couple, Joe and Nicolette, where she is actually the farmer in the household. She does the farming. So she's out with the game and the rest of the farm every day, while Joe is not, and because he's got a different job. So obviously for her to decide, let me do this, it's a quicker jump than somebody who's playing the traditional wife role. Before I offend somebody, cis plus not, I don't know what all these things are, but you know what I'm trying to say here. So at the end of the day, as Manette said, I would like to see more ladies getting involved in this and realizing the situation that we currently live in South Africa and how serious it is. And that there will be times that, as Claire says, you'll have to be the guardian of your family. So ladies, second last question I have here is, where do you carry your firearms as ladies? Because obviously you've got different clothing, you differ from us men. I think I've got 5 blue shirts, and I've got 2 green pants or 3 green pants, and I've got 2 sets of boots, and that's about it. That's the extent of it. My wife always gets mad at me and says, listen, can't we get you a shirt in another color? And then I say, no, there's reasons for this, but I actually do have some other colored shirts. You've been on the sniper course, you saw me in another shirt. In any case, the cut of all the shirts are the same, and the cut of all the pants are the same. And that's the extent of clothing for men. That's how we go. Wherever we go, that's how we look. So as a lady, how and where do you carry your gun? What is the challenges there for you?
Okay, so let me start. I have 2 positions I use. One is appendix, which is nice if I wear a little bit of a loose blouse or shirt or something. And then I do have an outside waistband holster and gun for like if I'm more what is the word deftig? What's deftig, ladies?
Formal.
Yeah. So and then I normally wear a jacket on top of that. And then I also have a knife. Well, a few different ones. One I can hook on my bra, which is useful from time to time. And then I normally walk with a pen in my hand anyway, when I'm in the office. So I sometimes actually take a tactical pen and I walk around with that. So there's various ways you can wangle this. I don't really wear dresses, so I don't have any advice on how to carry your gun when you have a dress, but all the other stuff, yeah, you just look at your body shape and what works. Sometimes you have to change a thing or two, but I think that's worth it for you to save your life.
Yeah, Dion, it's an incredibly difficult thing for a woman. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it needs to be sugar-coated. I think everyday carry for women is a very personal thing, and it's a journey. It's a journey that for me has kept changing, and it keeps changing. When I got mine, my Glock 26, it is actually a little bit easier to conceal, but I struggled a lot, and I tried out a lot of things, and wasted a lot of money. So, you know, I pretty much have everything you could use to carry. I tried the belly bands, I tried the bra things, you know, the things that goes in the bra. I tried the thigh rigs, and all of that is great because you can maybe hide the gun, but then you compromise your draw. So, you know, I first have to lift my dress and then pull off the little band and then get in there and find my gun and pull it out and hope that everything's going to come out at the same time. But basically what I tend to do, I tend to carry appendix. And I've learned how to dress around my gun as opposed to wearing what I want to wear. Obviously, there's times, you know, if you go into a formal function and stuff where you do want to wear a dress. And I'm going to be honest, some of those days, depending on who I'm with, I might decide to not carry my gun because I would rather not have it stuck in a handbag somewhere, you know, and not have that. Then what I would do is I would carry a neck knife or a, you know, stick a knife somewhere. What I did find was pretty nice. I'm going to do a little bit of show and tell. So they're actually maternity pants, but they're supposed to like hold your belly. So they're just little like gym pants really, but they come quite high up. And what I did is I sewed some loops into that. And I carried my Glock 26 with a trigger guard. So it's a little thing that just clips onto your trigger, and it has this fun little rope. You know, you can see that? You can see? Yeah. So what I used to do is I would tie that onto the loop so that when you drew the gun, the trigger guard would stay behind. So that for me was probably the best thing. It would sit nice and tight against my belly, and I could wear my dress, and I had these little pants on, and then my gun would sit quite nicely in there because they were compression pants, so they kept the gun pretty nicely. So to me, that was probably the best option for basically not having a belt, if you want to put it that way. I also have the Enigma. This is this fancy thing, Dion. It's quite a contraption. I don't know if we can see. Do I need to turn the blur off?
No, we can see.
Okay, so you guys can look that up. That's the Enigma by Filster. And this is really nice. It just takes a lot of work. I haven't had the patience to figure this thing out. You've got to sit and work on all the little bolts and nuts and get it right, and then get the belt right. I found it very uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie. But the point of this thing is that it can go under a dress with your gym leggings. So basically this goes around your body and you can wear anything over that. So the belt goes on, that thing sticks in, and it's got this little thigh thing at the bottom. This little thing clips around your thigh. Okay, does that make sense? So the whole thing stays on. You can run around naked with your gun on. I found it very uncomfortable, but it takes time and it takes a lot of work. So you've got to figure out. And the nice thing about that is if you are serious about getting into the Enigma, is their Facebook page. If you post anything, you can post a photo of how the thing is sitting on your body. They will actually come online and they will tell you what to do. So they will say, move that little bolt slightly to the left, change the retention over here, move it slightly that way. And they will tell you how to angle the thing to get the best concealment out of it. So it is worth looking into. The only reason I haven't carried on is because I've switched over to my P10C and I haven't got the Filster holster that goes with it yet. So that's on my Christmas list. The one thing that I really, really loved was with my Glock 26, I carried a Raven. Let me just get it off. This is a Raven concealment trigger guard. So it also just goes on the trigger, but it has that nice little clip and a metal clip, a DCC metal clip. And I found that I could wear this with my gym leggings. So there's nothing else other than your pants kind of holding your gun on. But because of the nice little steel clip and this little claw, there was enough retention that if I drew, this would stay behind. And if your pants were sort of tight enough, like your sort of more compressed pants, this would work really well. So this became my absolute option for going to the gym, or, you know, when I'm in my yoga pants, my legging pants or whatever, not having a belt. The rest of the time I carry with the belt. What I have done is a lot of my gym pants, I've actually gone and sewn on belt loops, my own belt loops, so that I can wear a belt. Then when I get to the gym, I'll just go into the bathroom, take the belt off, put my gun safely in my bag and do my thing. Okay, because obviously I can't gym with a gun on. But at least then when I'm driving, when I'm moving around and stuff, my gun is actually on me. So I've done that with a lot of my stuff. It's actually taken, these are actually just pieces from a bag. You know, the straps from like a normal kit bag that I've cut off, and I've actually done double loop sewing on, so that I've actually got a belt on most of my leggings. So that was my story. Other than that, I carry a knife. I normally have a knife in my pocket. If not in my handbag, there's a few stashed away in my car. And I have a neck knife, and then I carry a tourniquet. That's my kind of EDC. But it's a challenge. I mean, you have to learn to dress. You've got to try it. You've got to try different tops. You've got to compromise having tight tops. You've got to have some baggy tops. A lot of the times, Manette will bring it up, when you carry appendix, you acquire a penis. And you've got to learn to kind of angle your gun in such a way that doesn't look like you're a boy when people look at you. So Manette can talk about how she figured that one out. But yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it's a long process, I think, and it's a very personal process. So unfortunately, it takes a bit of time and a bit of getting used to, but you've got to really try on your different clothing and try different belts and try different styles. And what I've had to do is I compromise the way I dress, as opposed to not having my gun on me. So I give up maybe wearing the dress that day because I have to drive through Diepsloot. So then I will go in jeans and a belt. So yeah, or shorts and a belt.
So it is more challenging for females than men, because you have to decide where you're going, and obviously then you've got to dress around that as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Manette?
Yeah, so Claire, no, I haven't figured out that penis thing out yet. Okay. So it's still a thing for me, because I'm really small. So If I wear tight pants, appendix carry does not work for me. It just doesn't work at all. So when I wear shorts, that's what we were discussing the other day, Dion. When I wear shorts, it's a bit more loose. I can put it in appendix and it actually looks fine. I don't even have to have a long t-shirt on. It can be a shorter t-shirt. And it's what I've got on now. With tighter pants, I used to carry on the outside, but I can't conceal that either. It's really difficult. So I've started carrying it where I would carry it on the outside, on the inside. And that actually sits like a flush against my back. Because a Glock is a rather larger gun for my body. But it just, then you have to be disciplined in knowing where your weapon is sitting at that stage, or where you need to draw from. So for my shorts, I need to know, you can't just rely on muscle memory because you might go for the wrong side. So that's one thing that you have to be cognizant of when you change positions of your weapon. There is sometimes when I don't carry my weapon, like we've got to know, I go to the office once a week, and we've got a no gun policy there. So unfortunately, I can't carry my weapon with me, so I leave it in the safe. But like Claire, I take my neck knife with me, hang it around my neck, stick it in my bra so it's nice and secure. So there are different ways to carry that. That's basically what I'm carrying at this moment. Like Claire said, it's a process and it's a journey, and we all learn from each other, and especially for these type of conversations that we have with each other.
Mart?
Yeah, so basically I can just add to what Claire said. I had to change my way of dressing as well. If I went out at night and I knew that I was the only one carrying that, I would have to wear pants because that's the only option you have. So I would rather not wear my dress or look nice and not go out with my gun. So it was a non-negotiable thing for me. So I wear on a daily basis, I wear my gun appendix carry. So I have additional 2 mags with me as well. And then I also have a knife with me. So I don't go anywhere without my knife. So if it does happen that I do not go out with my gun, if I know a family member is carrying, then I would always have a knife or 2 knives with me. Yeah, so basically as well, if we go to the farm, if you physically work there, I can't wear appendix because it gets in the way. So then you have to carry on the outside because you're in and out of equipment and working with animals. So yeah, it does depend on your situation. It does depend on the dress code where you work as well. So it is a personal thing. And it's a thing that takes time, and you have to figure out what works for you and what does not.
On this point, just before all my haters start flooding me, please don't, because I don't have capacity for bullshit. What I'm talking about is there's a lot of diehards who live and die by the fact that you need to carry your gun in the same position 24/7 for the next 75 years. Guys, this is reality. This is how people live. All right. It is the same as with injuries. If you expect people to always be able to do 20 pull-ups and the person is getting a shoulder operation and he can't do 1 pull-up, what must that person do? He still has to live his life and he still has to carry on. And if the shit then hits the fan, he has to fight the fight with 1 arm. It is what it is. So before anybody hates on us, this is a discussion on what really happens out there. So, and if there's any hate directed towards me, please bring the hate to me. I love it. Ladies, thanks for that. I think that's a good point that we've got put out there. The last question I have for you is, what should men do less of when they advise ladies on guns and shooting? Should they just fuck off?
Tell them to go to a female.
Now, why I'm asking this is because men can be very overbearing when it gets to ladies, okay? Because, I see it a lot on the range. I mean, I'm on the range. I don't know how I'm on the range too much, but I see it when specifically couples are involved, or there's the sort of structure there where the man wants to always show the woman. But further than that, when it gets to salesmen, when it gets to instructors, when it gets to whatever, what should men then do less of that will make women feel less intimidated when they shoot? How can we as men accommodate you to feel more welcome in this world? Is it a trick question?
First.
You can gooi. They must, whoever's watching this must just take it on the nose. It is what it is.
Valerie, you can go first.
Please don't tell us to buy small guns. Yeah, small guns is not really a good option for us to defend ourselves against 5 attackers. So yeah, that's what I would say. I'm sure more things will come up, but yeah, that's the first thing on my mind.
So I would say that maybe just treat a girl the same way you would treat a guy. You know, we don't need to be sugar coated, if that's the way to put it. I agree with what Valerie is saying. Don't sell them the smallest gun in the shop. I fully believe that a woman should be able to go and shoot a gun and a couple guns before she actually is given or is made to buy a gun. I mean, there's still a few people that I know and a few ladies that I know that have been shooting for a long time that have still, their husbands have still made them go and get the 43X because it's a woman's gun. And there's nothing wrong with it. Again, but what you start seeing is the capacity. You know, again, like Marty was saying earlier, yes, you can carry this thing and it's nice and easy to conceal and it's comfortable and at least you've got something on you. But if you've only got 6 rounds to defend yourself with, how's that gonna, is that really gonna help us in South Africa these days? Because chances are you're gonna have 4 to 6 attackers. So unless you're pretty accurate at getting nice little shots, it's not gonna work. But again, yes, 43 is good because you can conceal it. And I think for a lot of women, in the beginning, it is nicer to think that a smaller gun is going to be easier. And a lot of women do go that route. But you'll find what I'm seeing is about 2-3 years down the line, 90% of those women get a bigger gun. So I think men should say to a woman, let's go to the range. I'm going to organize 5 or 6 of my friends, and they're going to bring this, this, and this, and this, and let you feel what it feels like. Or go to a place, I won't say Waterfall, any range that hires guns out.
Oh, say it, because they must sponsor us now with ammo.
Yeah. And actually get some guns next to each other and let them feel it. I'd also suggest that if a woman's firing a gun for the first time, maybe take her somewhere like an outdoor range, because an indoor range is loud and it's quite scary. It's, that recoil and the muzzle blast is quite intense. So if a woman is scared and you know that about her, maybe let her go outdoor and maybe with somebody else and not with you, if it's your wife or, if it's a friend. And sometimes some couples don't really do well on the range together. But my biggest thing is, I would say, treat a woman the way that you would treat your friend, in terms of give them the same advice. Tell them the option of having a smaller gun and a bigger gun. Tell them why a smaller gun is maybe harder to shoot, because the recoil is harder and the gun is smaller and your capacity is lower. Explain to them why maybe you would need a bigger gun, and let them go and feel those things side by side. That's my advice.
Dion, I don't really have a lot to add here. I think Claire really said it all. But I think just speaking from one of the ladies that was on La Femme with me, she felt very intimidated by just all the guys there. And that's specifically why she joined the women's group. Just because sometimes guys make smirky comments and behind you and you hear it. So I would say what guys can do differently is, one, not tell you what you're doing wrong. Jy doen dit verkeerd, jy moet dit so doen nie. Sorry, that's not Afrikaans, I know.
That's fine.
But just without telling you you're doing it wrong, just the approach and how they tell it. Yeah, that's just the only thing that really sprang to mind for me.
We have to say something for die 44 mense. Maar
Yeah, I think the girls basically covered all. Just something small. Just when you're on the range, include the women in your conversations. Makes it part of whatever going on. You know, there's times that we walk onto ranges and they look at you like you're something from outer space. Yeah, just basically, just we can learn a lot from each other. So just include everybody in the conversation.
great stuff. Ladies, I think that's the story for tonight. I think we're going to give some good feedback and hopefully some questions. And once we get some questions in, then we can take it from there and maybe have this next level discussion. So thank you from my side for your time and sharing your experience and knowledge with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Dion.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Dion.
girls.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Waterfall
Dion.
Arms, for the sponsorships.